Hi everyone, welcome to Red Fox Sewing and Crafting, and welcome to my craft room. I'm Joanna. If you hear rain in the background, it just started raining. Sorry about that. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this lovely little elastic closure bag. Got a little elastic here. I used a hair tie, got a little button, and you can choose to make it however big, however small you like. So I hope you stay tuned and make this wonderful bag with me today. So here I have my my stabilizer, my lining, and my main fabric. And for my stabilizer, I'm using Bayani Soft and Stable. If you want, you can use something else. You can use iron-on fleece or batting or whatever you have. I just like using Bayani's because it's a little stiffer, and whenever I make bags, I'm just kind of used to using this. If you have fusible fleece or something like that for your bag, you don't have to do this next step. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my main fabric here and I'm going to baste around the outside edge to make these one piece. And I'm going to be doing that to both of my main fabrics and both of my soft and stables. Now I have both of these sewn together, and I do have some of my main fabric poking out from behind my stabilizer. That is perfectly fine. What I'm going to do, and you can do this if you want, is I'm just going to go around the edges of my stabilizer and just cut off the extra fabric that's poking out from behind it. So I'm just going to take my scissors here and just carefully go along the edge of the soft and stable. Just like this. And this way, when we're sewing the bag together, it's going to be easier to see where the edge is. And I'm going to do the same thing to my other piece here. Going along and cutting all the excess that I see. And it doesn't have to be perfect. If you accidentally cut a tiny bit of your stabilizer off, that is perfectly okay. There. Now what I'm going to do is shorten my stitch to my usual stitch length And then I'm going to sew my two sandwiches together with the main fabric towards each other. And I'm going to do this using probably a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can do whatever size seam allowance you're comfortable with. And I'm also going to knot at the beginning and the end to make sure that it doesn't come apart. And when you come to the corner, you want to make sure that your needle is down so that your foot can come up, and just pivot. And if you're not in the place that you want to be, you can just go back and make 1 or 2 stitches slowly, periodically checking to make sure that your stitch or your seam allowance is going to be the correct length that you want it to be. And then just keep stitching. Once you have your 2 outer pieces sewn together, you just want to clip the 2 corners off, making sure that you don't clip off your seam. You want to keep that part intact. So just kind of close to it, but not through the seam. And then if you want, you can turn it right side out to make sure that it looks good to you. But for right now, I'm just going to keep mine like this. I'm going to set that off to the side, and we're going to work on the lining. Now for the lining, we are going to do somewhat similar to what we did with the outer part, except we want to leave a decent sized space in either one of the sides or the bottom so that we can turn it out once we sew the whole thing together. So I'm going to probably do the bottom, and you'll want about 3.5 inches of a hole left open. So we're just going to do the same thing, leaving a hole either on one side or at the bottom, making sure that wherever you put your hole, you are definitely tacking down the seams that you're sewing. So probably back stitch on that part a couple times. So I back stitched right here, and I'm gonna go about the same distance, maybe a little more over here, and then just back stitch here, and then do the same exact thing. So, you can see there's back stitching here and back stitching here with my hole right here. And I'm going to trim off my two corners just like I did with the outside back. Now that we have both pieces sewn together, what we're going to do is we're going to take the lining, turn it right side out, like so. The bottom doesn't have to be perfect. You just want the top to kind of lay a little flat here. And I'm going to grab some clips. These are Wonder Clips. They're used for quilting, but they're also really good for sewing bags and garments and other things. I love using them. I'm going to stuff the lining of my bag inside the main part, like so. And I'm going to go around the top here and clip the tops together. If you're not comfortable with using clips or don't have any, you can always use pins, or if you are confident with sewing, you don't have to use them at all. It's whatever you're comfortable with doing. I'm just going to place a couple more on this side, and then on the other side, doesn't matter what side you choose, I'm going to take an elastic hair tie and I'm going to put it roughly in the center here. If you don't want to use a hair tie, you can use elastic, you can use thread, whatever you want to use. Just something that you can easily sew into your bag to close it. So I have my elastic hair tie right there. Just going to clip these two sides really quick. And now I'm just going to sew around the whole top, closing this loop here. And since we are stitching the whole top, you do not have to back stitch. You can just sew over the starting stitch that you made. And when you get to your elastic or hair tie or whatever you're using, it will be good to kind of go back and forth a couple times over it, just so that it stays put where you want it and it doesn't come out when you're using it. Once you have the top all sewn, you are going to pull out your lining, find the hole you made, and carefully pull everything out through that hole. Might take a little bit of time. You just want to go slowly. Don't force anything. Just pull it through however it wants to go. And with something like this, you can take your fingers and kind of roll the corners, and corners will kind of poke out a little bit. You can use a turning tool or something if you want to poke them out more. I don't really care very much. And then when you get everything poked out, you're going to find your hole, and either by hand or by machine, you are going to stitch the hole closed. So I have found my hole here, and I'm going to carefully kind of shove the seam, or seam allowance in there, the edges. line them up as much as I can, and then stitch it closed. I just trim the excess thread off, and you have a bag. And you can shove the lining inside the bag. To keep the lining from rolling to the outside, you can now it looks like this. Nice edge. And last thing you have to do is pick a button and just sew it wherever you want the flap to fold over. Gonna do that really quick, and then I will come back to show you the end result. And here is the final result. Got a nice lovely bag with an elastic and a button. Open it up, put things in, close it right back up, and depending on the size you decide to make, you can put small stuff, you can put big stuff, whatever you decide. So I hope you make one of these lovely bags, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye!